Hey, what's up, dudes? Should you buy a Spyderco Paramilitary 2? That is the question we are going to be answering in this video, and you might guess my answer. It's yes, you should. But if you're on the fence about it, I'm going to put forth 3 main points to convince you that this is a fantastic knife and one that you should absolutely have in your collection. First of all, before we go any further, if you aren't subscribed and you're watching this video, go ahead and subscribe, like the video, and head on over to Instagram and follow me over there at duties_daggers. I'm going to be announcing any live events on my Instagram before they happen. I will be announcing any giveaways that happen, and also you'll be able to check out some knives that I'm making and see the progress on those, and just beauty pictures of other knives in my collection. It's a good place to be. Okay, so first I'm going to just give a general overview of the knife before I begin my arguments as to why you should buy this knife. Now, there are quite a few customizations on this knife, but none of them really impact, or at least are going to impact your decision as to whether you should buy it or not. I will go through the modifications that I have done to this knife, but even as a base model, with the G10 that it comes with, unless you get a sprint run with micarta or something, even if it's just the base knife, my arguments remain the same. This is still an absolutely fantastic knife, and the fact that you can customize it to the extent that it is one of my points, actually, as to why you should get it. So, it's a pretty big knife, absolutely a full-size knife. We have an overall length of about 7¼ inches. We have a blade length of about 3 3/8, and we have a closed length of about 4 3/4. Definitely a full-size knife. Even in the choked back position, there is still the kind of butt end of the knife sticking out. And when you're choked up here, quite a bit sticking out the back. So, if you have large hands, no need to worry. Now, this particular knife, we are dealing with CPM S45 VN. Very, very fantastic steel. I'll talk about that more in a minute. We have a Spidey hole to open the knife. You can use your thumb, you can sole roll, you can reverse flick, which is probably the most popular way to open a Spyderco knife with a hole, or you can do the thumb flick, or you can do the old drop. That's a cool way to open it. You can open this with any of these fingers. You can even open it with your pinky finger if you want. See if I can do it. Yeah, there we go. The hole is just a very versatile way to open your knife. Very conducive to the slow roll. The blade just kind of, that hole pivots on your thumb really easy. Easy to get in there for the thumb flick. Obviously reverse flick, super duper easy. And with the compression lock, you can just push it down and use gravity to flick your knife open, which, it's a good option to have. So, that's just a very basic overview of the knife. Let's get into my 3 points as to why you should buy it. Number 1 is Spyderco's blade steel. Now, there is a huge variety of blade steels, even on just the Paramilitary 2. There are so many different versions of this knife. There's sprint runs, there's exclusives, even just the regular production knives. There is quite a few different blade steels. They are currently using this S45 VN as their kind of base PM2 now, which is really fantastic. I've had this knife for like a year and a half, a little longer than that, and I've only ever stropped this edge. This is still the factory edge. I've never put a sharpening stone to it, and it is still extremely sharp. That's pretty crazy. This is better than even some M390 that I have, some 20CV that I have, and obviously, that can vary company to company depending on how they do their heat treat. But I'm just talking about in general with the knives that I have in my collection. This S45VN has outperformed them all. You don't see a lot of other knife companies giving you this much variety. Even if Spyderco isn't making this knife in particular in the type of steel you want, the secondary market is filled with paramilitary 2s with a huge variety of steels. So if S45VN isn't really your thing, or if you want something a little more corrosion resistant, or even absolutely corrosion resistant, like I don't know, one of those steels that's stainless, you can find it. You can find it and get one. So that's a very positive thing for the PM2. Not to mention that Spyderco does an extremely just good job on their heat treats. This is a widely known fact that Spyderco is one of the companies that is doing the best with heat treating their blade steel. And you can watch videos of hardness tests for Spyderco's steel. You can watch torture tests, cut tests. You can really dive deep to find out if what I'm saying is true. Or you can just take my word for it that Spyderco really is one of the companies that's doing the best job with getting the ideal hardness of their blades. So that's point number one, the variety of blade steel and the quality of that blade steel. Next, customization options. I feel free to argue this point, but I feel like the PM2 may be one of the most widely customized knives ever. It is mind-blowing how many different scales you can get for this knife, how many different backspacers, clips, lanyard hole plugs like I have here. You can get little attachments that go in the hole where, it has that little hook deal so you can deploy it out of your pocket. The compression lock made easy, this little tab here that I'll explain in a minute. It's really crazy. I've even seen these backspacers that actually have a pinky ring that you can kind of turn it into a karambit style deal. It's gnarly. You can really get down a rabbit hole looking for customizations for your paramilitary 2. So that is a huge positive. The mods that I have on this knife in particular are as follows. This is the classic flat titanium scale from Flytanium. They also sell a titanium scale that is, I think it's called the Crossfade. It's got some more milling lines and stuff in it, which is cool too, but I preferred this kind of classic non-contoured kind of look. It's stone washed, and mine in particular have gotten some scratches on it, but I think that really just kind of adds to the character of the knife, and I think it looks really good. This clip is a clip from MXG and is a deep carry clip. The clip that comes on this knife is not a deep carry clip. It's a decent one, but it's not deep carry. So I got this one from MXG Gear. They sell them in different colors, different finishes. I just got the gray because I was going for kind of a monochromatic look on this knife. And that's not the only company that makes clips for this knife either. There's quite a few. So if this particular style doesn't appeal to you, there's many different types of clips you can get. This knife comes with a hole right here for a lanyard. So you can rock that, or you can plug it up with one of these lanyard hole stoppers. This is one from Flytanium as well. It's brass, and I think it looks really good. It just kind of gives a little hint, a little accent of gold in this otherwise colorless knife. And man, I just think this looks so cool, man. I've seen a lot of really cool PM2s out there, but this one I built exactly how I wanted it, and I am really in love with it. Now, the compression lock made easy. This is a little tab here that it basically brings the face of this compression lock out so it's flush with the scale here. Normally, to unlock the knife, you kind of put your finger back in there to compress that compression lock, but with the with this little G10 tab here, you don't have to put your finger back there. You can just push from, flush with the scale. That makes it really easy to disengage this lock. It almost turns it into a button lock. You can even kind of deploy it with the side of your finger like this, which is how I usually do it. I mean, it's fantastic. I would put this on all of my Spyderco knives. For right-handed users, it's just a quality of life thing. For left-handed users, I would argue that it is almost essential because you're pushing that with your thumb, and it's kind of hard to get in there. But with the compression lock made easy, it's just as simple as that. Super duper easy to close the knife. So if you're a lefty, I would absolutely get one. If you're not a lefty, I would still say absolutely get one. They are made by OCD for ADC, so you can go to ocdforadc.com, I believe it is, and get yourself one of these. They come in lots of different colors. You can get G10 or micarta, and they're really easy to install. It's just some super glue that holds it on there, and it's really strong. I've carried this knife for quite a while with this on here. Never fallen off, never gotten loose, not even close. So the customization of the PM2 is vast. It is huge with a multitude of options, and that's another reason why I think this knife is very recommendable. Number 3, my last point, is the compression lock. The compression lock, in my opinion, is one of the best locking mechanisms. It is not necessarily stronger than your typical liner lock. It is basically a liner lock that is reversed. It's behind the knife instead of in the front in here. It works the exact same way. You can see in there that lock bar falls under the tang of the blade, locking it in place. You push the compression lock, it moves that lock bar over so you can close the knife. So same as this, but it's just on the back side of the knife. Now, having it on the back, that allows you to open and close the knife without ever getting your fingers here in the cutting path of the blade. With a typical liner lock, your thumb has to be in here to disengage it, and then if you don't pull your thumb out fast enough, you could cut yourself, which I have done quite a few times, I'm ashamed to admit. One-handed use, very easy one-handed use. A liner lock is a one-handed use lock as well, but it's just really, really easy to manipulate this knife, especially when you've had it for a while and you really just get into the groove of it. It is so easy to operate. I mean, it's almost it almost takes me no brain power now to get this knife out, cut whatever I need to cut, and close it and put it back in my pocket. It's just it's second nature at this point. It's a really cool lock. And there are other locks similar that are on the spine of the knife, but this one, it's just good. It works well for this knife, and I think it adds a kind of aesthetic element to the knife that I like. I think it looks cool having this kind of stuff going on here on the back of the knife. I think it adds a little bit of an interesting factor. If you don't know about knives and you're looking at this, you're kind of thinking, wow, that looks interesting. I wonder how that works. I wonder wanna try that. I want to put my hands on it and try that. It looks cool. Before I ever owned a Spyderco with a compression lock, I was very curious to see how it worked. I wanted to handle one so bad and just kind of experience it, because just the look of it drew me in. The fact of seeing somebody able to open and close the knife this easily, it looked good to me, especially with the reverse flick in there. I mean, I've said it before, but the first time I saw somebody reverse flick their knife, I thought it was, I thought it was just the coolest thing ever. It almost looks like the blade's just popping out by itself, because you can't really see, a thumb opening it. It's just like, boom, pops open. And to see it close so easily is just, it's awesome. It's really awesome. I know I'm not really doing a great job selling this, but just trust me, it's awesome. If you haven't experienced one, you need to, because you will fall in love, especially with the CME. I mean, it's a game changer. It really is a game changer. So those are my 3 main points why the PM2 is a fantastic knife and you should absolutely get one. The price is slowly rising on these guys, partly because of inflation, partly because of that's just seemingly how the knife world is heading. So snag one of these while you can. They're still pretty reasonably priced, though, I think, for what you're getting. You're getting a fantastic blade steel that is heat treated and hardened to an optimal HRC, an optimal hardness. You're getting a fantastic, super easy to manipulate compression lock. You're getting hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of customization options, and you're getting a very reliable, very comfortable knife. This is still one of the most ergonomic knives that I own. The only one I can really think of that beats this is the Manix 2, the Spyderco Manix 2. Really, really comfortable choked back position. I mean, you're so locked in there. Your thumb is right on the ramp there. Your pointer finger is nestled right in here. You don't feel the pocket clip at all. And then choked up is just fantastic. You can kind of do it like this, or you can kind of go even further and put your thumb out on the spine. Either way, this is so just locked in. So locked in. Really fantastic work knife. It's got a pretty, thick tip, so this thing is just really good at working. Obviously don't pry things with the tip of your knife, but you don't have to worry about it snapping off just using it as you would a normal knife, even a little bit harder than maybe you would. Thick blade stock, but this full flat grind gets pretty thin down at the edge. It's just it's a really good knife. So I hope I convinced you. It took me a little while to save up to be able to afford this knife, and then I just slowly, as I could afford it, added on first the scales, then the clip, and then as I could afford it, I finally built this knife that I really wanted. And this is my ultimate PM2, and you can build yours too. So that's about it. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.